Bra Oscar decided he's gonna have water because he started with October early. So I'll still carry on with I'll still have my whiskey. And welcome, Bra Oscar. Really quite an honor for you to join us. And when you accepted for us to interview you, I remember there was a club in Malawi called Legends. I grew up in Malawi. Okay. And I remember very well as an 18-year-old dancing to Zabalaza. You know, and when I did my research and Brothers of Peace, I remember again, went to school in Zimbabwe. A friend of mine from Botswana, the first time I fell in love with Kwaito was Traffic Cop.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Right?
Wow.
And we're
so
going
we're
back.
Connected musically.
We're going back. And when we look at your journey, it's almost mirrored to our journey of independence and democracy.
Yes.
When you started. So tell us about the Gifford days, you coming back, Razzmatazz, to now, before we got on set, you were ordering food or something. You know,
you guys are taking it so far back. I must say, I don't even think it was legal for me to be in a club by that time.
Exactly. Yes. So how has the journey been from?
Well, I think the journey has been amazing. You know, I think the fact that me and you can still have this conversation, we can have a conversation like this, especially there's been a dark cloud, you know. Worldwide, and I think we must be grateful for life, you know, and even for what I've achieved, you know, I'm grateful for life. I mean, talking about Gifford, I went to school in Bulawayo in Zimbabwe, and after that, then from there, that's when I started my musical journey, you know, but I think it was back in 1985 where I saw a movie called Beat Street. It was a breakdancing movie. That movie inspired me. I've always followed that channel because I always feel that I always believe that all of us, when we're born, we've got a dream. We've got something within us. You know, everyone is channeled to do something, and you know, you are driven by things which you see, and then you are inspired. So the movie is about these young kids who were staying in the ghetto in the Bronx. And they were doing a lot of breakdancing, you know, graffiti painting, hip hop, and all that. So it was more of the arts culture. But what happened is that through that they started pushing this thing as businesses, and later they started. If you know the Bronx is like a ghetto, it's like Soweto and all that stuff in New York, you know. So they were coming from the poor backgrounds. But they ended up later sitting in the boardrooms in New York City, making these decisions, you know, in terms of the financial sector and all that, and through art. So therefore, that movie inspired me. So when I grew up, I said, I want to be that. So I always live that movie.
And that almost leads us to like the birth of Kalawa, right? Because you're quite right. When I think of the people that you've groomed within the industry, you have definitely, I guess, defined decades. Not even a decade, decades of youth culture, not only in South Africa, but right across the continent. And that's 100%. Quite something to, you know, to influence and shape, especially within the transition of not only producing music, performing music, but owning and managing and understanding the business side of music. Help us understand what that transition was like, because I'm curious to understand how you moved from the stage to the boardroom, like you say.
Yeah, well, I think ownership. It's through... you know, I mean, there was this idea banning, you know, which I had, and I've always had this vision. So when I finished school, then from there, I got an apprenticeship with BMW South Africa. Then I was working at Midrand. But, you know, it wasn't, every parent wants you to follow a certain career guide. But as a person, you've also got your dream, you know. Then from there, I tried that, but it didn't work, you know, for me. And I ended up being in the streets, you know, being paid the money. You know, the company saw that it's not for me. And they were honest. They gave me time and said, is this for you, being a motor mechanic? And I said, no, it's fine. Then I decided. Then from there, I bought myself a hot dog stand. You know, I used to sit outside the clubs selling hot dogs. But at the same time, going in the clubs, you know, playing the closing DJ sets for the workers and all that. And from there, the club employed me as a permanent DJ, a resident DJ, because the resident DJ didn't pitch up. They knew that there's a guy downstairs who's selling hot dogs, who's always playing for...
on the ones and twos.
Yeah, who's always... Because I used to go into the club at the end, at the end of the night, I'll play for the staff, because I was pushing time, because I didn't have a place to sleep. Yeah, so therefore I'll go in, play, because after selling my hot dogs, my Vors, So then eventually, and there was a DJ who was helping me a lot, giving me a lot of, he boosted my career. His name is the late Ian Sikola, and he gave me his vinyls. And from there, that was the beginning of Oskido, I used to call myself the Big O those days, Oscar the Big O.
Yes.
And they employed me at Razzmatazz, and through Razzmatazz, my career began. Yeah? Hey? No, yeah, that's when I started being in the business, because playing there at the club, now varsity students started to hire me out, to ask me to come and play. I remember those days, it was, like Ovets, they used to have a res called Panato. There used to be men's res and all that. So they used to have what is called Kumbas. So they would hire me. So I became more of the resident DJ on all those
you took over the scene.
Yeah, I took over. But you see, what the club owner was paying me a month, I was making it in one night. But the problem is that I didn't have my equipment. So I started buying my own equipment, with the money which they were paying me.
Yeah.
And from there, I started, when they hire me, I know that the value chain of that, I had it.
That's my
So
thinking.
I became a business person.
That was entrepreneurship already.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it started off quite quickly and quite, but I'm keen also to understand how you view other artists who probably don't even think that way, right? Because we're well aware a lot of the time performers die as paupers, right? But you've protected yourself and those close around you to actually not deviate and go that particular way.
Yeah, I think it depends on an individual, because how you want to chase your dreams, because some people, they just want to be comfortable in where they are. But for me, I think I've always seen that by the time I feel that I'm comfortable, that's when I need to push. Okay. You understand? I don't wait and say, listen, I'm comfortable now, I've got this thing. When I feel that this is it, then my brain starts ticking and say, you have to keep going. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Then I start opening, doing my research. I think through that time when we were playing at Razzmatazz, then from there, we used to slow down the records. It was house music. House music was called international at that time.
Yes.
We used to slow those records down. And then I started making mixtapes, because the music wasn't played on radio. It wasn't played anywhere else. But what happened is that it became popular in the township, in the taverns and all that. So therefore, I'll also stand there at Small Street, have my cassette, record TDKs, and people come in.
My sons don't even know what a cassette is.
Yeah, TDK. Then from there, I had a box, then, because I was getting the records. So it was exclusive, and it was just a niche market. And I remember one of my biggest customers was Dr. Kumalo.
Oh.
He knew that, the big old step, and Ganyan was also doing the tape. Yes. But through mixing that thing, a record label approached me to say, your music is popular, so let's redo covers of that music. Okay. Then they came out a tape called Mix Masters, so we're doing that music. That music caused havoc. Remember that time, it was the era of bubblegum. Prachiko were big, Brenda Fassi, they were big that time. So therefore, when that mixtape came out, Mix Masters, people started buying that thing. Up. Yes. And And they were only giving me 20 cents a cassette, And for me, first royalty check, 20,000 to you as a young kid. I didn't even, I was like, wow.
20,000 in the 19...
it was, So therefore, that's how my journey started. So therefore, when we're doing that, slowing down those tapes, this is when we started putting lyrics, our own lyrics, into those instrumentals. Sure. And this is how Kwaito was born. This is where Mdu and them were doing. Mdu were doing also. Mdu had his own mixtape. Arthur his own mixtape. Umanda Spikiri. So therefore, the youth culture started booming. But after that,
and that was the time.
Yeah, it started as mixtapes, and then later, boom, we started putting the lyrics. But when we did that, for example, the first record which we recorded, because I mean, when I was doing that's when I met Braton Laka.
Yes, that's what I wanted.
Because he knew me that I was a DJ from Razzmatazz. He says, "Hey, your tape is causing chaos, man.
Yes.
How are you doing with this thing? Are you making money?" Then I told them, "This is what I'm doing. I give this record label, records."
He asked you an important question there, right? Are you making money?
Yeah. Am I
and
making
that must
money?
have sparked something in you.
Yeah, but for me, I said, I'm making money. He said, how much are they paying you? He says, no. Then from there, he said, no, I've got a studio. We can do the same thing, what they are doing, but we have ownership. Then I said, wow. Then I told I told Braton that, because Christos was owning a record shop, that I need my friend Christos, because I buy records from him, nice. So I want him to be part of this.
Okay.
And this is when we met up with Christos, which his surname is Kaikatsi, is K-A, and then Laka, L-A, Braton, then my surname is Mdlongwa, W-A-L-A,
comes from?
Yes. And that's how Kalawa was born.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Back home in Malawi, Boom Shaka.
Yeah. You see,
yes.
and talking about, you've touched a special...
And I remember those girls with the dreadlocks.
Yeah.
Lebu and Tembi. Of course, they were the coolest girls that were around.
Yeah, but by that time, because I was running a club in called Club Arena in Hillbrow, so Bolebu, they used to come and dance at the club. So I was running afternoon sessions, I did a deal with the club owner that I need to create these club scenes, in the afternoon, and then I just take the door takings. You know what I'm saying? You see, I've always been in business. I told myself I'm never going to be broke. You are a
businessman.
So therefore, then I started these afternoon sessions. This is when Lebu used to come and dance. Lebu, they had a group called LMT, Momandoza, and all that. They were young kids, coming to dance competition. So then when this thing started, Kalawa started, then I knew that, there were these kids who could dance. But I didn't know that Lebu can sing until Junior from POC said, no, Lebu can dance. This is how Boom Shaka was done. And we did a track called Makwerekwere.
Yes.
And then we did It's About Time to listen to Boom Shaka.
I think that track took over the continent. I think that track was the introduction of, we didn't even know that it was quite
yes.
Because I went to school in Zim, I was born in Malawi, knew friends. The subcontinent took on Boom Shaka. And obviously, Arthur's Don't Call Me Kefa.
Yes.
Those were the two tracks that sort of took the music onto the continent.
But you see, throughout that, when we had those records, we went to the majors now. Majors, I'm talking EMI, Sony's of today, and whatever. Universal. And we said, wow, here's our demo. We want to release this. You know what I'm saying? I remember taking the demo, sitting at the reception for almost 6-7 hours. They listen, they say
determination.
No. They say this is not gonna work.
Oh.
Right? They say this is not gonna work. It's not gonna work. Remember, Moses Brenda were big, whatever, Bubblegum was big. So it's a new era. It's just like my piano now coming in. You can't ignore it.
I want to ask you about that.
Yeah, because it's a new culture. So therefore, these are the youth of today. They've come up with something. When they see Bolebu dancing with all that stuff, because the influence was coming from Ragamuffin, soulful stuff, Aliyah, and all that. So with all these influences in the music. And the record labels didn't understand, the majors, what it is. Then we said, fine, they didn't want to sign us. Then what we did is that we took our tapes, we took the master, then we started looking for somebody who could press the music for us. Then we found out a pressing plant, and then they told us, this is what you need to do. Then I remember me, Christos and Braton, we didn't have money, we pressed about 500 tapes. And then we now wanted to distribute them. We had to go to the stores, but these
and the radio stations?
And the radio there was no radio. Remember, they didn't even want to hear radio stations. They didn't want to hear anything. The newspapers, nothing. There was nothing. There was no radio. But what happened is that now we've got the stock, and we didn't know what to do. You have to market, right?
Yeah.
And we have to distribute. So we started taking it to these shops, but they didn't understand. They say, no, leave, especially our brothers, our Indian brothers, say leave, and then if it sells, you come and pick up your money.
That's a risk, eh?
Yeah, it's risk.
That's risk, right?
Yeah, so then the majors threatened, because we're independent, Then the majors threatened these big companies and say if they can take our stock, they will pull out all their stock. Wow. Then it's fine. But the good thing...
But then, so the funny thing is there, right, Bra Oscar? They don't believe in your music, but they're threatening the big ones to say they'll pull out the music if yours succeeds. It's crazy.
No,
right?
remember it was they didn't understand. But what happened is that we said fine, you know. Then from there, me and Christos were DJs, you know. Then from there, that's why I'm saying that varsity played a lot, you know. We started doing gigs in Medunsa, Stuchelo, you know, go Vets, going to Durban. So we'll go in all these things as DJs because we're popular at that time. I mean, even now I'm still number one.
Of course.
Say it like it is. I think we'll say cheers to that. I think we'll say cheers to that.
No, I'm grateful that I'm still
still
in
number
the
one.
scene. I'm still no, I don't want to be number one. That's why
Does
a
that
lot of
mean
people
you're also going to be doing Mapiano soon?
No, Mapiano is the foundation of Kwaito. Remember, so I mean, Mapiano is Kwaito. It's done by the new generation. So I do any piano track anymore because it's the inspiration.
It has been inspired.
It's just
by
like
Kwaito.
mom and dad, you know.
Right?
It's family.
So you're the godfather of Mapiano.
I'm not the godfather of. I mean, Kwaito. That's where Mapiano comes from. Kwaito. If you can listen to it, it is Kwaito, but done by the generation of now in a different style. Okay. We'll come to that. Let me just finish this. So now, then from there, we started doing these gigs, going Libo in all these gigs, you know what I'm saying? They will be dancing, you know, people started saying, wow, what's this? And we have our cassettes there, whatever. And I think the gentleman who played a major role was the late ANC Youth League president, Peter Mkaba.
Yes.
Then he started inviting us to these political, because they used to push more message about AIDS and all that. They'll go to taxi ranks.
That time was a terrible time.
Yeah. So we'll go with him, and then they would do that because Leonay was a DJ. You know, he used to have vinyls come in. So after that, then from there, we'll perform. We DJ. We have our taxi. We have our cassettes there, and the stuff started flying. Playing at Varsity started flying.
Sure.
Where we were leaving 10 shops at those tapes. You know, the shops will call us, hey, come.
Bring more.
Yeah, bring more, do you understand? Now, let me buy. They started buying. And then one day, we get a call quickly from a major record label. And they say, no, from one of the distributors, they are called Reliable. They say that...
Reliable Music Warehouse.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then they say they want 10,000 cassettes.
And you guys initially pressed 500.
Yeah. We say, what? They say there are 10,000. We didn't have, you know, they call this guy, comes and say, I need 10,000 tapes. And we don't have money to press that thing. And then whatever. He says, no, I'm going to go and pay the pressing plant, you know. Wow. Sell for me for 10 rands. And we said, we didn't know anything. And we said, fine, we wanted that. Boom. You know, we delivered, you know, we spoke to the plant and we had all this money in front of us. Royalties, whatever. 2 weeks later, get a call from record label, EMI. We want to
so the majors are on board now.
Now
they
they're
call
taking
us
you
now.
seriously.
So now they're calling us. Said, okay, but these are the guys who stood me up for 6-7 hours. You remember Pradon when I took the thing? Boom, we go there with Pradon. When we get there, you know, at the reception, check, it was like this. I mean, the problem is you guys don't have sandwiches and all that.
Next time we're here,
you see, it was like this. There was champagne and a bit of whiskey there. Yeah, it was almost a scene like this. And now, you know, they are referring me as Mr. Mdlongwa.
Oh.
You know, yeah.
Not the big O.
I'm saying, okay.
This
I'm
is
at
how
the
it
reception.
is.
And now they pull us in the office, and then they say, no, it's an EMI lawyer. I remember it was Mr. Zamani that time and the director of EMI. So they sit us down and say, guys, we want to sign you. Do you understand? We can help you in terms of you guys reaching, you know, bigger heights. You know, we can help you. We can help you to package your cassettes and whatever. So they're holding our cassette like this. Then already, then I said in the meeting, I say, guys, can you see this cassette here? Already it's packaged. So meaning that when I started record business, when they rejected us, we knew that a cassette needs to have,
or like your branding.
Yeah, it must have a picture of an artist.
Yes.
It must whatever. It must have the barcode and all that, so that when it gets to the shop, whatever.
Yes.
So we had learned all that. It must have track listing. It must say.
Yes, I remember you'd open it and you would pull out.
Yeah. I'm saying that.
thing.
I mean, we knew how to package. We say no, we can do this. Our things. We've got a, we know a printer, whatever. So we can give a full product. What are you talking about? Then they start saying, oh, no, but we can help you guys to market. We say, no ways. The fact that you are calling us here, without radio, without anything, because a newspaper started bashing us, City Press and all that, they were crucial, saying, hey, this Kwaito music, it's nonsense, it's whatever. And boom, we say, hey, our marketing is doing well. Faisal bought 10,000 tapes last week. What are you talking about?
So you knew your power.
There was
at
no
the
radio.
table.
Yeah. Then from there, that's when they start saying, no. Then we come in, we say, guys, you see, our problem which we have here is, for example, now people were calling us, say maybe they say they need 1,000 tapes in PE, right?
Yeah.
So right now when we send our driver, by the time he comes back, we've paid hotels, petrol, whatever. It's like we've only sold 100 tapes.
Cost of sales. Cost of sales. Was
you understand?
very high.
Then we said, listen, all we need from you guys is distribution. We don't have a distribution capacity.
So the marketing we sorted.
Yeah,
the packaging we sorted.
Our royalty, we know how to pay our thing. We've got our own system, whatever, which we think. So what I like is that that's quite changed the game of the music industry. Kalawa was one of the first independent record label to change the landscape of ownership. Then they took 20%, we took 80%.
Come a long way from 20 cents.
Ownership, because they were only taking distribution, and that's what they were entitled to. And that's how
the 80-20 rule.
Yeah, that's how we changed the game. And remember, with previously, our elderly, the artists, they were abused. They didn't even own record thing.
Yeah.
We started using technology and recording in our bedrooms and whatever. For example, if you can check, most of the tracks written by Miriam Makeba, Prayu, they don't have ownership. Because the person on the studio, you're going to see is written by Far what. You know what I'm saying? And that person can't even sing our language. But they own the music.
Exactly. And I'm keen that you mention this because we're well aware the pandemic has been a difficult time, right? Artists go through difficult times. Are these some of the lessons that you hope the new era of Mapiano artists take on? Because they've been struggling by not being able to perform, right? So it's the distribution and the producing and the ownership of the music that maybe might be working in their favor. But there's some lessons that they need to learn.
Yeah, but the good thing is that it has changed. Remember that Kwaito then started saying that it's ownership. Owning his masters. Arthur is owning all his masters. Okay. Everyone owning his things. So therefore, we opened up stuff for a lot of kids who are coming up. So therefore, even if you can see the kids today who are doing whatever Mapiano, they own all those masters.
So what you guys did is you changed the mentality and process of the South African music industry. So if I'm not going to get into Mapiano. I don't have the voice. But if my son, who's 15 now, decides to get into music as a DJ, you set the scene to say ownership is important.
Yeah, it's important, and the kids of today they know that. And remember that long back, and it's easier for them these days because you just put up something, you put it up on the internet, it's all over the world. You understand? So
and social media.
And your distribution is not now you have to go and deliver physical stuff.
Yes.
So you just put it up, and then from there it's farmed out in Apple Music, Spotify, or whatever. So
Okay. Yeah. And what I'm interested in is so I spent the week just researching and understanding your journey. Is then you and Bruce, Brothers of Peace.
Yeah.
How did that come about? Because I think that was a step change, and then from there we moved to Oskido's Church Grooves.
Yeah.
What was the thinking there after the struggles with the majors? Then you got Brothers of Peace and then Oskido Church Grooves.
Yeah. Well, BOP, as I was saying, that we're compiling records that time. So we did our first compilation. We called it BOP. It was me, Bradon, and Christos. It was one of the first projects we did. But later, because we started doing, putting lyrics in our thing, So therefore we started saying that, guys, but we need faces on this project.
Yeah.
You understand? Christos, he left me and Pradon to start his own record label. And then I stayed with Pradon. Then that's when I met Bruce in Mafikeng because he had produced Tebe. And then I brought them call Pradon and say, oh, can we sign these guys? So because Bruce was such a technical guy in terms of engineering, mixing, skills, whatever, then me and Pradon, we thought that it's better because Christos had left, then he becomes a director of Kalawa. Then we give him ownership. So therefore, me and Bruce, we started this BOP. And then our first theme was that Traffic Cop, Ibize Moyeni, which became an anthem. And then later, we brought in Macheu, then we had Nyoba, and whatever. And later, me and Bruce, because, you know, we felt quite, you know, was down tempo, you know. Where piano is taking it back to where it was. Do you understand?
You know what we should have done?
Yeah.
We should have brought a deck here for
every
part of the story. It goes on the ones and twos.
So then what happened is that then from there with Bruce, we felt that the piano was like, the kwaito was, you know, the tempo was thing. We couldn't crack it international.
Sure.
So that me, my friends, Christos Vini, Greg Maluka, DJ Fresh, went to SAMC, Miami Music Conference. And then that's when I saw this big DJ, you know, playing with a jazz musician. His name is Louis Vega. You know, they had a party of masters at work.
Yes.
But when he was DJing, there was Roy Ayers playing keys and all that. Then I was like, wow.
We're taking this concept back home.
No. Then I was thinking and Bruce wasn't there. And on my way, when we were flying back, I said, I'm going to do this. You know what I'm saying? But remember that most of the older musicians, they had an attitude towards us. You know, they didn't embrace us and say whatever. Yeah, do you understand? It was like their music is nonsense. But we made an impact. Do you understand? It's just like my piano now. It has made an impact. You can't ignore it. You know, it's trending all over the world.
You can't.
You understand? And that's what I like about this country, because young generations come in and we create. There's no other country in the world like South Africa where genres are created.
True.
To understand.
True. Yeah,
there is no other country, because most is only R&B, it's whatever. Even when you look at Nigeria, it's Afrobeat or whatever. But the true culture, remember, if you can see now what piano movement is doing, it's the kids who are doing this. You know, they are playing kwaito, but they are dressing hip-hop. You see? And then when you see these kids on the internet, it's like, wow. That's why if you can look at on TikTok, my piano has become, I'm a TikToker, you know.
I should follow you on TikTok.
Yeah. So now, piano has become one of the biggest trends on that platform.
Definitely.
Yeah, but so me and Bruce, then from there, I called Bruce, I said, this is what I want to do. Let's put up the tempo.
Yep.
Then from there, we did the Zabalaza track, which you are talking about. Yeah, it was up tempo. We went to take an old track done by Mahotela Queens in Mahlatini.
Yes.
And we added a lot of live music. And then from there, Zabalaza, we tried to call a lot of these jazz musicians. But the only person who responded was Brayu Masegela and the late Moses Muleleko.
Yes.
And that's why, if you can see that project featured Brayu a lot, because Brayu was more upfront. He said, let me work with these kids. And boom, that project became...
And it's about giving back, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was about to say, because the feature of this particular conversation is the family table. And I think you can tell we gathered around the table. We are a family. If you had a family table full of musicians, whether present, whether they've passed, whether futuristic musicians, who would they be? What would you talk about? I guess just to understand what you hope to bring out of the musical legacy that we have in South Africa.
Sure.
Tough one.
Yeah, it's tough because I've worked with a lot of different people and they've touched my lives differently, and it's difficult, man.
Okay, would Brayu be there?
Yeah, definitely. What I like about Brayu, because Brayu had ability to change. You look at and say, I'll join these kids. That's what I like about him. And you won't have that stigma and say these are whatever, young kids and all that. But he want to be there. Even when you're sitting with him, Brayu used to make you feel like, see, you know how people want to be
respected
and whatever. Prayu says, hey, whatever, Ziyabuya. I think Brenda Fassi, you know, she'll be part of that because, you know, she was more upfront in terms, to understand in terms of the thinking, in terms of the creativity and all that. I'll have Lebu Matosa, you know, as part of it because she's one of the ladies who, when we met, you know, she started pushing herself. You know, she was brave, you know. She came from nothing, you know. I saw her growing from from a dancer to really come in and say, this is it. But it's unfortunate.
You know, with
God
Lebu,
has taken all of them.
Yeah. I would rate Lebu as the Tupac of South Africa. Gone too soon. More like in terms of gone too soon.
That's an extreme.
Like you still wanted more from her, you know?
And I think for me, because, you know, because it's difficult, a girl who came from poor background but hustling, because, you know, she used to hustle. When we're hustling, Lebu will be there, and she'll be part of that.
So we've got three left. So we've got Brenda, Brahu, Lebu. Three left.
But I think also what's important is so you want me to mention the other current?
Six.
Yeah, definitely.
So those are late. Current. Maybe give us two.
I mean, definitely Brad Don, because he's the one who fathered us. I mean, I'm here because of him, you know.
Sure.
Brad Don Laka. So therefore, you know, he's the one who gave the vision and say, I want to work with young people. I want to change the mindset. You know, he was upfront in bringing what Kwaito is today. You know, he was like saying, you know, let me be part of this game. Let me play on. Do you understand? So but also I'll look at who else. I've had so many. The problem is that it's difficult.
You've got so many kids, you've got so many people.
I've got so many powerful people. Besides my crew, the directors of Kalawa, Amanda Spikiri, Zain,
So maybe let's do this. For the last two, international. Let's go international. So for the last two, for you not to pick, for the last two, give us two international artists who would join in the family table conversation.
For example, I'll have a Bob Marley, you know, because for me, songwriting and what was going through in Jamaica, you know, through the struggles of the black people, you know, he became a voice of the black revolutionary. And also watching this film which I was talking about, Beat Street. So therefore, I'll put in a person like Jay-Z, because he's coming to say, I'm on the platform in terms of business thinking.
You know, funny enough, you mentioned Jay-Z. Today, when I was preparing to come interview you, and not to compare, I believe you're the Jay-Z of South African music. Because when you think about it, if you look at from 1994, Bra Oscar's trajectory mirrors our democracy. There has been there's been Kwaito, there's been house music, fresh house music, Oskido's church grooves. There's been other things that have come. Amapiano is now here. And what I think is there's a continuous evolution of being relevant, of being, I mean, we wanted to interview you. You know, I was like, Kugu, you have to get that man here.
It was a tough job, guys. It was a tough job, but we're glad you're here. I can
imagine. So now, from vinyls to pressing tapes to hot dogs, and when you mention hot dogs, I was like, this guy has always been a food entrepreneur. To sushi.
But it's always very important in life to diversify, you know. That's why I always say that God gives us all these powers. It's within us to say, do we do it or we don't? So if you become lazy, definitely nothing is going to happen, because a lot of people always blame, you know, I'm poor because of that. They start blaming other people. But it's because, one, you become lazy. So I always tell the artists who are signed, who normally signed at our label, that, you know, for example, the danger what artists do is that they get signed, they have a big record. So what they would do is that from that big record, from Monday to Friday, they don't do anything. They are waiting for the promoter to call them. And that's when they will start making money. You know what I'm saying? But if the promoter stops calling them, then they start suffering. They don't, they just say, but therefore I've tried to use my day, Monday to Friday, and say, listen, okay, weekends I perform, but what do I do? Do you understand? So through my traveling, because I travel a lot, so therefore when I get to Durban, I always want to say, what's the best restaurant? Because I love food, you know?
Yes.
But you know how it is, even when you're in Joburg, there's that particular place, you can go all over, but there's that restaurant which you always say, wow.
Yeah.
You know?
Your go-to.
Yeah, there's your go-to place, you understand? For example, when I get to Malawi, I always ask for this traditional fish. Chambo.
Oh,
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, because I love
From
that
the lake,
fish.
yes?
Yes.
Yes.
So
I have yet to try that.
The best, you have to try chambo.
Yeah. So I always know my food. So therefore, that's when, you know, I saw this concept in Durban and I said, wow, I want to be part of this restaurant. And these people didn't say, I quite a star, whatever. I said, yes, I want to be part of this.
They
but
don't know,
later,
they don't know you
later,
folks,
yeah.
the majors, everybody.
But later,
backstory.
yeah, so we came to a business deal and here I am, you know, then from there, we started this new entity, Daruma by Oskido, of which a lot of people expecting that it's a news cafe, it's whatever.
Yes.
But, you know, the good thing is that it's strictly family and it's Japanese. And you know what I've realized is that when you look at my historical, remember you're talking about 1994, whatever.
Yes.
So now the people who support me are those people I used to play for at varsities when they are students and then whatever.
Because they're family, men
They are
and
family
women
now. Some of them are CEOs, some of them. So the funny thing is that they always come to the restaurant and you find their kids, they know me. They say, hey, Daddy, can I shoot a picture with Oskido or something? Daddy says, no, man, I know Oskido before you. You know what this guy, you know what this guy used to play at varsity, whatever.
Yes,
So therefore, God has blessed me like this.
Nice.
And I always tell people that all these blessings, it's not that I'm by myself. I've got a team. You know, like, for example, if you can look at what we've done with our Kalawa Jasmine team. I mean, when I talk about directors, Bruce, Zayn, Manda Speaker, the Lakes, Jokes, Bradon. So therefore, it's not that you are doing it by yourself. You know, when people see me as Oskido, it's not because, hey, this is Oskido by himself. There are people who I work with, who are behind me. So it's always very important for a person to have the right team, who can help you to have the right mindset. And also what counts the most is who do you hang around with?
Yeah.
It says you're the average of the 5 people that you hang out with. And what I found very amusing and it's sort of touching is what you did at DSTV Delicious in 2019. Where you brought back all the guys.
Yeah, it was. It was our label, Kalawa Jasmine.
And I think COVID messed it up because you
We
had
were on a
planned a
roll.
tour and all this. And I think if Oskido would let us and maybe think about it, is we could be at his restaurant, have a family conversation with different artists.
No,
enjoying your sushi.
Bring and having sushi. And dessert.
No, that's what you are missing here.
Exactly.
You know, to have
and have sushi and speak to the guys from Trompies, speak to the different guys, because I think when I look at South African music, I mean, having grown up in Malawi, went to Zimbabwe, it sort of feels like you stay in South Africa anyway, because all you consume is South African culture. Is that I can see every step, even in my journey as a person, as an entrepreneur. I mean, when I think of Utebe and the music, my wife loves Tebe, and the music that he's played, it's Oskido has been part of our lives.
Yeah. And I think that brings us to
it's Team Kalawa. It's not Team
Kalawa.
Oskido. Kalawa Jasmine. It's not Oskido's journey alone.
Team Kalawa. I said Zabalaza at Legends to now listen to DJ Zinhle.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And
my
everything
girl,
in between.
love her so much.
You know, and everything in between. I really think it's a family table conversation.
I think it's not only a family table conversation, but also speaks to the legacy that you want to leave behind?
Yes,
Whenever
yes.
we've tried to give you praise individually, you've always gone back to family, to people, to friends, and leading it forward. But I think as we conclude this conversation, I want you to share with us what you hope your legacy is, or the intended legacy that you want to leave behind.
Yeah, I always tell people that for me, it's because you see, when God, I always believe, even what I've achieved, it's not me.
Yes.
You know, I've got this team, but no, there's a person who drives all this thing, and all this thing is centered about God.
Sure.
Do you understand? He's the one who like saying, okay, Oskido, this is your job. I've given you this role. Do you understand? So it mustn't go on your head and think that you've got the power.
Sure.
So for all these thinkings to come, I don't do it. There's someone who's bringing all these thoughts for you guys to start all these conversations.
And for you to
this,
be here.
yeah. So for you guys to start this family table, someone brought a thought. God brought a thought to him and said, "Let's start this thing."
Sure.
And then he started connecting you like this. So therefore, I think the mistakes which we make as individual is that we want to be glorified, you know, for our success.
Sure.
So that's where the mistake comes in. So the legacy which I want to leave, I don't want to be glorified for my success. It's the power of God. He's the one who must be glorified. Once you start glorifying, you know, I mean, I can have a big record and then my fans, you know, feel whatever. I mustn't allow my fans to glorify me. I must say that God gave me this power and this.
Power.
And for you to measure my success, it's not how much money I have or the car I have or whatever. It's how many people have I brought up along the way. That's the legacy. You say, okay, when you mention Lebu, how is it connected to Oskido? When you mention Tebe, how is it connected to Oskido? When you mention Zinhle, when you mention Mafikizolo, when you mention Zonke, when you mention Thandiso Mazwai, DJ Maporisa, when you mention Black Coffee, Tira, and all that, then you see, but how is this guy connected? Do you understand?
And the funny thing
so
is,
for me, that's what we call legacy. You know what I'm saying? Through the power of God.
And the funny thing is, you know, Gugu, there has never been a time where I have read that Oskido has got beef with Uban.
Well, it happens. I mean,
to
be honest, my man, I've had so many beefs in my career.
But
you've missed it. Me, I've been very, very controversial, my man. So, let me correct you. Again, I'm talking. So don't talk things which you don't know.
Go ahead.
Again, I'm telling you, my man, I've had so many of those things. You know, and so many of those things. A lot of people know that I've had beef with them. But what happened is that once you have beef with a person, you need to overgrow that thing. And then you go back and say, you know what? This is it. I mean, we had beef with Arthur when he was calling himself King of Kwaito. We went in to do a record and say King of Kwaito, Akaula, whatever. Wow. But today, me and Arthur, we sit down, I look back, you know, but if I was that thing, it's just like politicians. You find that they hate each other because of one thing, then from there, nothing thing. And then they dismantle everything. But today I can go back to Arthur and talk and say, hey, we're kids, man. We went through this thing. Our kids, you know, they are, you know, my daughter and Arthur's kids, you know, they talk and all that stuff. So I've had beef with some of my artists, like whatever. But we sit down and go back and say, hey, guys, you know what? You remember those days? I remember the other day I was recording. We've got a big track with Tandy, so it's called Ayazizela. Huge record. So we're recording, and Tandy says, hey, Oskido, do you remember when you came in and you told me whatever, you know, we fought. It was a huge fight. I've had big fights with Thandiswa, Lebu, Zonke, whatever. But what's important is you need to look back at those fights and you forgive it. And then you move on. And you saw it was that moment. And then, you know, it happened. Because a lot of people, I think what messes up our thing is the negativity. Once you have misunderstanding or what we call beef with that person, you don't resolve it. And when you see that person appears, you know, it messes up your day. So I don't want to be in that space. Wherever I've made mistakes, I'll go back and say, I'm sorry. Sure. And in case I wronged anyone out there, I'm saying, I'm sorry, man. I don't have a chance. This platform, the family table has given me a platform to say boom, 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 boom.
Oskido, much respect to you, sir.
Massive respect, man.
I really appreciate that. And I think,
thanks, brah.
We've all listened and learned and admired the journey onwards and upwards to building a legacy.
Let's give it up. Let's give it up to my
cheers.
Yeah. Thank you very much.